Hello everybody, welcome to another speedrun game against Garizili from Argentina, rated 1732. We're supposed to play the Scandinavian, so let's do that. We get it on the board. I recorded a 35-minute video and accidentally pressed mute 12 minutes in. It was a good video, but I had to delete it, of course. So anyway, we have a Scandinavian. Let's develop towards the center. Okay, he has the standard setup. We know bishop f5, and we expect bishop d2 or bishop c4. Which one will he choose? We've seen bishop d3. We've seen bishop f4, but those are less common and less correct, I guess. So he x-rays the queen. So now we're ready for c6, providing a retreat diagonal. Will he go for one of these two moves? We've seen both of them. If he goes to this one, we can go to c7. If he goes to this one, we can go to d8. None of the above. Bishop c4. Well, I'm still going to let him do it. I'm going to go e6 and keep my queen here. And now he can choose a third square. He can now go to d5 with the bishop support because the queen can't take. In which case, again, we'll go to d8. So we're going to put it on one of these squares. Okay, so he chooses this one. We expect it. This one doesn't double our pawns because he did it at a time when our queen could defend the knight. But we wouldn't have minded the double pawns anyway. He would have to do it before e6, like the turn before. That way we take with the e-pawn. So I'm assuming he's going to take, because why'd you put your knight there if you're not going to take? Super awkward, right? Kind of hanging. So he takes and we take, helping us develop. Maybe he does something like this, but it's just a cheapo. Doesn't win anything. And more importantly, it forces us to go to an only square for free. Now we can kick his bishop and other stuff's hanging behind it. So you hit our queen, but just because you do a one-move threat doesn't mean it's good. Does not mean it's good. Now our other knight has its natural square because we got to move our queen for free. So he moves the pawn that was under attack. Reasonable. You could just develop your pieces, of course, but let's kick the bishop for free. It provides our light square bishop a nice home in the future. It provides lift for a castled king in the future. And what about this pawn? Does it collapse your position if I take it? I don't see any counter thrusts as your bishop would be hanging. So doesn't this end the game? I guess he can go here. And then we can go here. Then he can attack our queen again. And it's trapped. Can that be real? That's what? Really? Hold on. We got more time than him. I'm going to take a second. We take this. He goes over. Do I have nothing? I go here. He goes here. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, he's so lucky that it doesn't work on this turn. But maybe we can kind of set it up. So if he intends on castling, if we can somehow get our bishop and queen here, but that takes a lot of time. Okay, fine, you bum. I'll just bring in a piece. Whatever. We don't need to win on move 10. So lucky. So I'm assuming he's going to castle. Because what other move catches your eye? This knight also covers the square from his knight, so he can't harass our queen. So he castles. I would love to get him to double his pawns, which is the whole idea of this. Also because this attacks the bishop, so it's a threat. So we could improve our knight. And if he does try to harass our queen, what can we do? Queen's actually low on squares, so we can't allow that. We got to leave the knight here. That's fine. Bishop here, it does pull your king up after the trade. It's not the end of the world, but I don't really want to do it. So I think I'm going to go here. More centralized, aim at his king, cover this square, and prepare castling this way. Now when he retreats his bishop, we can just scoop it or trade it. Okay, he does it automatically. To mess with him, I can go to e7, which is somewhat hilarious. But I see no problem with trades. Is he going to open up his rook? Interesting, but he does. It does have an upside, your rook, but it does have a downside. You permanently created an outpost on e3 and the weak diagonal. We don't mind that. We do have to watch out for threats. So maybe we relocate our queen. Thinking, what if we go here? If he kicks us, we can go here. I don't know. Let's go here. He can't really use the pawn to kick us because of his weaknesses. Disadvantage of double pawns in front of the king. So it's kind of on a pseudo outpost. And if he retreats his bishop to get an x-ray, then we'll do something like this. And if he goes here, we'll go something like this. c4. I don't know. We'll figure it out move by move. Whatever. I don't like to look too far. It's Mendoxe. It's a burden. It's a hassle. No one has time for that. Okay. So now what? Interesting position. I mean, we have our regular pawn structure. We do need to castle, and then we just have some pieces. The queen is oddly placed, though. So he moves the rook. Maybe he's going to slam this, but that's not good for him, so I don't mind it. I think castling makes a lot of sense. Let's just get our king out of the way. And our position's great. I mean, it's not winning or anything, but as long as we're careful with our queen, you know, black's doing fine. And it's just a game. We just have a better pawn structure because of this. So yeah, if he doesn't find a way to take advantage of our queen, which he doesn't, he offers the trade of bishops, which definitely has to help black. If you just leave the tension and say, oh, he'll take me and I'll take, then maybe he can throw in something like this. And when you take the pawn, you undefend your bishop. So maybe it's wise just to get that in. Get it all out of the board. It was taking away an important square for my queen because that gives me access to the whole fifth. Okay, he has a queen and a knight which can't go forward, so there's never a mate. I'm going to leave my knight here just to protect against e5. Okay, so we need to kind of equalize the central space advantage he has by playing c5. c5 now, d5. Takes. We could put a rook on d8 and x-ray the queen first, get some development in. I don't see a downside to developing on the semi-open file. I feel like he can only make anything we do stronger. Is he going to hit the queen? If he does, then I'm suddenly going to go to g6 because he's blocking his own queen and try to get the trade. If I go to g6 now, he doubles the pawns. So he does this, but now we can go here. And then knight h4, we can kind of go wherever we want from there. Do we have a different option? I kind of like this square, so let's go here. X-ray the queen. Oh, knight c5 is a threat because he can't take because of the alignment, and otherwise it's a fork. So all we need is for him to double. Come on, guy. Yes. We knew it. We knew he would fall for it. He's a 1700, but this is a bit hidden, so that's why I had faith. If we hit his queen and he hits our queen and we get the queen and he gets the queen, we can at least get the knight. He gets a pawn, whatever. Let's do this. Hopefully he resigns. I don't want to convert that position. Super clever move. All of a sudden, because the rook is on d8, makes this possible, right? I said having the rook on the semi-open file opposite his queen can only make anything we do stronger. This is a resource that did not exist before that. And also he put his rook there. So he's asking for it. If he didn't put his rook there, you could still make a move like this, but then what does it really accomplish, right? Unless you're using it as a reroute to an even better square. Okay, so he goes this way, but this is the same line I just calculated. Also, we don't need to give him queen for queen and pick up a knight. This rook is hanging. We could just get a full rook, kinda. We get a rook, he gets a queen, we get a queen, he gets a pawn. Potentially annoying. I mean, we're up a rook there though, right? Yeah, we are up a rook there, so that should be easy. We could just take the queen, but then he gets our queen, and that's not the same. We get a knight, he gets a pawn, and then we're not up nearly anything, and he has a nice pawn chain. I don't care that his rook goes here. I don't care if he takes pawns. I'm up a rook, so I need to be objective and take here. If he takes my knight, I could take his queen with the rook. I don't think he was expecting this. I'm pretty sure he was expecting to go down that line where he just loses a knight for like a pawn or two. And that keeps him in the game. And he'll have both of his rooks, right? We don't want that. In this version, he has one rook and one knight left on the board. They can only coordinate so much. I'm going to have two rooks and a knight, so I should be able to stop him easily. And my king's here. So after he gets this pawn, my king's actually a nice defender because this stuff's not weak. It's just going to be this, and then he'll try to attack the b pawn, but you can even go make a passive move like rook b8 because you have an extra rook. So you make one passive move, then you flush his rook out with your other rook, right? Okay, he moves the queen, but that's a rook. So what's the threat? My knight's hanging. This is hanging. Okay, this is interesting. Oh, he's trying to at least keep pieces on the board. I think I'm going to... Okay, I'm going to throw in the free check just to kick him to the corner, which is just going to be helpful in any endgame because he's going to have to spend time coming back. And it gives us back rank ideas if he moves his rook. So it also gives our knight a square to hop to. So our knight's hanging and the pawn's hanging. Is there any way to take care of both? Or do I have to give up the pawn? Rook d5. He can't take my knight with any piece. If he takes this, he's going to lose. And if he takes this way... Do I have no resource? Please have a resource. That would be so cool. I want to go here. But if he takes my rook and I give him this check, the queen helps him. Oh, that would work. That would work. All right, whatever. We'll just go here. That's so cool though. Rook d5 is an awesome idea because if he takes your knight, you take his, and if the queen takes, you take the queen. I'm gonna go here because it comes with this threat and smothered mate in 3 or 4 moves if he takes the pawn casually. But he'll sack his rook to avoid mate. But he'll still be in a world of hurt. So this little sequence of including this check, super important, because it gave this knight this square, which gives the smothered mate idea, which is a super forcing sequence. So now he really has to be hesitant about taking a pawn, which is not nearly as forcing as smothered mate. Now this is annoying because if I didn't have smothered mate, because after this pawn collapses, he still has the queen on the board, right? And so queen suddenly looking at the isolated e6, extracting the king. Like you don't want to get discovered in the future. You don't want to deal with any of that. That's why he left the queens on the board. But he's got problems, so I also don't know how he solves them. If you take time to make room for your king to avoid any smothered stuff, I mean, there's this fork. Okay, he goes for it, but this can't be right. If I go check, he has to sack his rook. We take his next rook, threatening mate in 2. His only try is check. If we take the pawn, he'll have this check. Although our queen won't be there to block it. So down that line, if he takes with check, we don't take back. Do we take back? I was going to say we move our king, but if you move here, he can give you the check again. If you move here, his queen will have a check. Okay, so this hits the queen, and protects the pawn. This is also a genius move because this is going to be mate, forced mate. I have so many good moves, but no time to analyze or evaluate. So many strong moves. This check forces this. All I need is a rook here, but that's check. He has to take. I go here, check. I guess here, I'll just take his knight. I'll just take his knight. I'm not going to go for this. I'm going to go for the smothered mate and see what happens. This disconnects the rook from the knight, so he's forced to... Oh, he lets me smothered mate him. How does he not know this pattern, right? Isn't this... Pretty sure this is smothered mate. Here, check, double check. He has to go here. Then queen sacrifice. He has to take in here. Yeah, he should have known this. If he doesn't know this, I mean, he really needs to do Puzzle Rush. This is like one of the first mates you learn when you learn chess because it's such a cool one. He resigns. Well, that's so bad. He doesn't even let me get it on the board. Just let me get it on the board since you fell for it, right? And you want a rematch. Yeah, right. Get him out of here. Let's go over the game. Whew. I was running low on time. I had so many good moves there. Okay, let's see. So we have a normal Scandinavian, right? We know these moves. We've seen them 1,000 times. And that's how we memorize, right? Like this whole thing, I only know it's, by heart now because we've done it again and again and again, not because I read a book. Okay, so we get our position, our starting position of c6, retreat diagonal. Okay, center, development. Force move, force move, force move. Even game, basically all zeros. That's the Scandinavian for you. You get a middle game where you could just play. That's where we're at. Okay, improving our position for free. And man, I wanted to take this, but it loses. It's +4 because of this sequence, which does work, and I just didn't have a good response here. It's similar to when you grab the B pawn, and then they move the rook over. That's why I was able to calculate it, because I just used the same idea on the other side. Oh, he's so lucky because this would just collapse your position, right? If it did work, if he did let me take it. So, okay, we develop and center and prophylaxis. Like, you could move your other bishop, right? To d6 would work. E7, not so much. The goal is I also want to control this square from his knight, which could be potentially annoying and is one of the most common ideas in the Scandi from the white side is knight e5. So that's why I chose to do this. Bishop d6 also works. And okay, development, center, king safety. Kind of forced because you don't want to waste time moving your bishop and you can't defend it so adequately. So what? So f takes g is slightly better than h takes. This is one of those nuances where I'm never sure what the engine's going to say. Okay. So here, tiny bit better for him to take the way he did take, opening up the rook. Suppose it makes sense, seeing as I don't have a knight on f6 yet, and it would be that knight that would take advantage of the outpost he just created. And it's pretty well defended. It's not like I can just jump in there when I feel like it. He can just move a rook over and stop me. Okay. Anyway, just a game. Improving our queen. Let's just say prophylaxis because knight a4. Right, hitting the queen, hitting the bishop. And also, if he moves the knight, I'm trying to get the queen trade in to make my life easier because my queen is a little misplaced. And also, I'm trying to promote h3 so I can win stuff. A lot of people would automatically play h3 and just blunder the pawn. And okay, king safety, development. Just an equal game. I say equal, engine shows like plus 0.6 or whatever, but that's just normal. You start the game with plus 0.3, and even if it goes all the way up to plus 1 and stuff, none of that matters because that pawn is never going to materialize. So as far as humans are concerned, this is just an equal game. He goes here, which I thought just was weird and eases up my defensive task, an equalizing task, because this bishop of ours, we only get it outside the pawn chain. We don't actually want it other than to contest this diagonal so that he's not attacking us on it, right? So by giving up his bishop, we'll never have to worry about his strongest attacking unit anymore. And it's not like our bishop's ever going to attack anything. So, okay. Now we're finally at all zeros. Development center. What's the best moves here? Rook f d8, queen h5, giving, like I said, access to the entire fifth, so it's useful, but a bit weird. And rook a d8. Yeah, so put a rook here. Queen h5 seems engine-y. So we just develop and center. He goes here, force move. Then he blunders. And all of a sudden, from zeros to -5 and higher for the rest of the game. So we played a 97% game, not even inaccuracies. I thought it said we had an inaccuracy before, but here it says 0. I could have sworn queen up. It said it was an inaccuracy, but maybe I'm just hallucinating. Anyway, so if he wasn't blundering, queen e2 makes sense, defending the rook, getting out of that tactic. And then we could finally play c5 and equalize. And then I would rather be black with the rook on the d file. So, but that's not what happened. He immediately falls for the tactic. His best move is queen d1 or b1 or c4. So b1, d1, c4. c4 is interesting. But then can I take with the knight? Yeah, you can. Weird. He jumps in. Our best move now is to take the rook with the queen. Queen h7. Second best. Wow. Just getting out of the attack and keeping everything alive. That's dirty. And then knight takes d3. Yeah, so the queen, this line is what I was calculating. I get a queen. He gets a queen. I get a knight. Maybe he gets a pawn or something. And it still says it's minus 4.4. which is huge, even higher than what I thought it was. I mean, we do have an extra knight, but he has a pawn for it. So technically that's 2 points of material. And I thought that his activity, instead of giving us more advantage from the +2, would take away and help him out and bring us down to, like, lower. But apparently his activity is entirely useless and meaningless, and he's just getting crushed. I avoided this line because I wanted a stronger line. It is stronger, but I thought maybe I would face more practical problems than what the engine's suggesting in the other line. That's why I tried to avoid it. But I guess it was pretty solid after looking at it. So he goes here. We find the best move. And he can do a number of things. Trading is just one of them. He doesn't trade. Oh, it is the best move, rook d5. No way. At minus 5.5, rook d5. Minus 5.4, the check sequence. So rook d5. This is so cool that it's the best. Man, I kind of wish I played it now. Because if he takes with the queen, well, the queen hangs. If he takes the knight with the queen, you take the queen. If he takes the knight with the pawn, you take the knight. Yeah. And the rook defends your queen. So what did I think he could do here? Why did I say this might not work? Because if he took, I think I said if he takes with the rook, you can take the knight and then the rook, so that loses. But if he took with the knight, was that the one I was looking at? I don't remember. I mean, you'd have to go back to the video, which I guess I will later, to see what I was thinking, but apparently this is just fine, and this was a great move, and it entails that check over knight here, and we're threatening mate. What's the mate? For example, we go here since it's our turn. He just does something, check. He can't move the king. He takes the... Oh, I see. He blocked it. I made a bad move, but my point was, like, not that move. Here, he has to take and this mate. So this is another mating pattern I know, and I was trying to do, and it entails sacking your knight, like for an Anastasia's type mate. But whatever, it's the same eval as what we did. It's just a cool move that I considered. We give the check. He has to go over. And again, you could still play rook d5 as it defends your knight indirectly. It's just a clever, cool move. But instead, we jump our knight in, going for smothered mate. And he takes with the knight. So we have knight d2, which apparently works. Rook d5 still, threatening mate. And rook f8 also, because you're attacking his knight, and if it moves, you have more tomfoolery. So we just go for this one. Now he has to give up the rook or he gets smothered mated, which we've seen. My point was, if he takes the rook, I mean the knight, and I take his rook, I'm threatening mate in 2. But he has one last ditch effort, and the engine does confirm it's his best try at minus 6.5. Give me this check, which unleashes this check. And so you could take the knight, but my plan was, like, if you take the knight, he might give you this check. Maybe you have to calculate stuff like, is there perpetual? I didn't really want to deal with that, so I just wanted to move my king to h7, which is the best move, funnily enough, although everything's winning. And I said his only other check was this one, but then I said, you know what? I can just take the knight. Again, is the best move. And whatever he does, I can just hide again. Like, there's not going to be infinite checks in this construction because the way my pawn's set up, you can't do that. Because I also have a queen here, so I can always just run. Yeah, so that's interesting. Really cool Scandinavian game. Tactics are the most important thing. 1700, 1800, 2000, tactics, tactics, tactics. Don't collapse your position. You don't need to be ambitious, over ambitious, or crazy. If you're, already high rated, trying to get better, you can do crazy critical lines, but otherwise, just don't collapse your position and focus on tactics. Good luck in your chess, and goodbye.